Hello, my name is Stephanie Cola Johnson. I am the instructional coach at the Ridgemont Early Literacy Center. Our campus is a pre-kindergarten through first grade campus. However, we are directly attached to a second through fifth grade campus that I sometimes partner and provide professional development to as well. My campus is monolingual and dual language. Today is February the 16th. It is 11:57 a.m. Prior to my service as an instructional coach, I've served as an instructional coach with my district for the past 2 years. Prior to my leadership as an instructional coach, I was a master teacher with my school district from 2016 until May of 2023. As a master teacher, my job was similar. However, I continued to have a classroom where I coached and provided feedback. Now, my true role or my solid role is to coach teachers all day, provide feedback, and lead professional development opportunities, as well as ensuring that the district vision is met. As we go, the purpose of this SWOT analysis is so that I can identify my strengths, my weaknesses, opportunities, and other areas that I can target or threats and find a conclusion. This SWOT analysis will help to develop not only me as an instructional leader to help close gaps at my campus, but it would also provide myself with the feedback with how I can grow teachers and, in summary, later impact student performance and close gaps at the campuses that I hope to seek to lead. After reviewing the video, one identified strength that I noticed in my video was definitely the rapport that I had with the teacher. Communication was very open and fluid, which definitely provided for the teacher's opportunity to ask questions, to feel open to share areas that she thought she was strong in, as well as areas that she hoped to grow in. I'd also say an area of strength present was that the teacher was able to identify her own ability of noticing that some of the resources that she selected, while they were aligned, the resources could have been more impactful if they were more close to the students, if they were more accessible visibly by size, maybe. The teacher was able to also identify that some of the assessment measures, that there were other opportunities available in the questioning. I'd say one of the strengths in the observation were the questions that I asked her. My questions led to her ability to identify like some of the identified measures, like her ability to notice that the proximity of the lesson could be an area that we can target. And so definitely rapport was an area of strength. The questioning that we had, and the teacher's ability to identify her own goals, as opposed to myself just giving goals, as opposed to me just saying you need to focus on A, B, and C. While going into this observation, or prior to being an instructional coach, my worry would always be, what if I see nothing? What if I go to this observation and I'm unable to identify an area of strength, which is also a concern of mine as I become a principal. What if I go into a classroom and I'm unable to identify? Well, this first 45-minute observation showed me that I was able to identify not just one, but a couple of areas. So I'd say definitely that those were strengths noticed in this observation. Some of the evidence that I did notice, like in my questioning, I asked her about the book, and I did have my district support person there as well. And we said, well, what did you notice when you shared the fiction book with the students? Were the students all engaged? And quite honestly, In her idea or visual, in her vision, she said yes. But then after we reviewed and asked some more questions, she noticed, well, no, I only had the book to table 1 at this time and table 2 at this time. And so then in the measure of questioning, it's, well, what was table 3, 4, and 5 seeing at that time? So just kind of bringing her into those aha moments were definitely times where I would say the questioning and the support for proximity were identified strengths. And then also in the interview, we referenced, you noticed there were, or I noticed that there were call outs or opportunities for turn and talk. I asked questions about how to engage all students and how can we put systems in place. So I started referencing the carpet and things like of that nature. And I'd say that was my second claim of strength in this was rapport. As we identify other measures of how could we have kind of connected this lesson more with support of management, the teacher, she bought into it, and she thought it was not just a thought process of myself. The rapport was there because you could see her turning and thinking, and also note to myself, feedback to myself, a strength for myself was reminding myself, wait time. Give the teacher time to process. Give the teacher time now, and that's an area that I would like to continue to grow in as well. Is letting the teacher have that metacognitive time to process, okay, what is the principal asking me, or what is my coach asking me, and giving them time to actually think about how they could solve it. That way they own the solution and they think out methods as opposed to me telling them. As I continue to think about this this conference, this feedback from this classroom observation, an area of weakness, first identified strength is just being laser focused. Going into this interview, as I stated earlier, my concern as a coach or a principal is, what if I go in and I'm unable to identify one thing? Well, now I know the nature of, oh my, I have gone in and I have identified several areas of to target. And not only that, I also have the teachers, I have rapport with the teacher, I have the trust of the teacher. So now the teacher, I have the buy-in of the teacher, and the teacher wants me to support them and in fixing all of the problems. However, with this teacher, I am aware that this is a novice teacher, this is a new teacher to the profession, and while she does have the will and she has the desire to build in her skill as an instructional leader, I have to ensure that I focus on pacing her need to meet these goals. I cannot, if although her initial desire was for me to coach her in the gradual release, I do, you do, we do, with, of course, how do we check for understanding at the end, to ensure that each student has learned. I noticed that she has been picking up on the gradual release process. However, some of the parts that's actually the strongest measure present is not the need of the gradual release. It is that this class is in need of some management support. So I would say the weakness for myself as an instructional leader is in moving forward in coaching or being an instructional leader of this, not only this teacher, of my other teachers. How do I continue to lead this teacher into being laser focused, or how do I laser focus on one goal to help support this teacher? For instance, I want this teacher to definitely focus on management. I noticed there were 5 tables across the room. Even management can be student seating, management of resources, management with transitions, attention getters. There's a lot with management alone that supports pedagogy and instructional practices. And I just knowing that, in targeting those, that's where we get the biggest bang for our buck. And then tying in, she has the desire and we have these planning sessions where she's picking up on instructional practices, but the weakness, what I noticed was the identification of, I identified that management was the area to target. However, we were still talking about instructional practices, books, how do we check for understanding? So as an instructional leader, my weakness in this observation was being laser focused, leading the teacher to focus on one area to target for growth, while I'd say my second area of growth or second weakness is then how do I, in the nature of a school year that flies by, then ensure that, okay, the school year's going to end, we're in the second semester, these kids still need instruction, and how do you then ensure that there are methods of embedding or opportunities for this teacher to still gain instructional practices or models of instructional practices to build her teaching capacity while having her individualized goal for me to coach her in being classroom management. The nature of SWOT is definitely to be honest in your reflection and in truth, as I just shared, how if my laser target with this teacher is coaching her in behavior practices, then what are my then opportunities or my next steps to ensure that I target behavioral practices while ensuring there are opportunities to build instructional practices? Well, team planning still exists. So while we have one-on-one coaching cycles with me as her instructional coach, where I'm coaching her in behavioral practices on our team planning days, she will continue to see instructional models that can continue to support her with the gradual release model, with check for understandings, with teacher at-bats. There are also opportunities for PLCs, professional learning communities, where we dive deep into the data, bringing in those check for understandings from teachers on her grade level who have used common formative assessments, common grade level created assessments, where the conversation is there to reflect on how we created the test, how we plan on scoring it, how did instruction look that prepared the students for this assessment. So those are opportunities that would continue to be in place that while my concern was how do I kind of shift gears, or not shift gears, but how do I explicitly support her in behavioral practices in a coaching cycle while also targeting opportunities to continue to build her instructional practice in our curriculum. Other opportunities that we also have available, I provide my teachers on professional development planning days with, I just did one yesterday actually, data analysis and how to model phonics and fluency checks and dictation, and those in showing them how to data collect. I also show them the instructional practices that go before those. So again, we also have not only me as a district model of professional development, we offer what we call Schoology courses, which are opportunities that are asynchronous pace, where teachers have the opportunity to sign up for courses at their own pace, at their own time, where they have parking lots and they're able to ask questions one-on-one, while also knowing with the rapport that we have, she can always come to me and ask me questions as well. But there are multiple opportunities. Team planning, professional learning communities, weekly PLCs, professional developments that I provide for the campus that are aligned to the district vision, as well as asynchronous courses that support our curriculum, our instruction, our data practices, as well as behavioral support courses that are aligned to PBIS practices. I kind of mentioned some of the threats earlier to this. Threats, of course, are time. time, identifying this need at the second semester, there is the threat of this being a novice teacher who has the will to gain skill as well. The threat of teacher burnout. She's working on a lot of my novice teachers are also in reading academy, or they're working towards their certification through like Texas Teach and things of that nature. So sometimes that buy-in of time with me, I have to scaffold my time a little bit and meet 15 or 20 minutes here, or just make myself very, very available in windows of opportunities that are convenient for them. Sometimes just another threat is inconsistent. Let's say we had her challenge is behavior. So we had a system that I'm very, very abreast of called CHAMPS, and I'm uncertain if I can name, but CHAMPS was a very structured behavior system that I'm very well trained in. So sometimes in my model, I want to do those practices, but as the district buys into new behavioral systems and programs, that can also be a threat sometime. And me learning new programs and delivering them while also kind of still being married into some of these best practices that I've had, sharing with them how to deliver some of these best practices while not using the branded lingo or from like companies that the district no longer has licenses for. Overall, my takeaway with this observation and my reflection from this SWOT analysis is to pace the process. Rome wasn't built overnight. Continue to support the teachers. Build relationships. Relationships are essential. Let the teachers' ideas and choose their goals and let their words guide the process, while also being very, very cognizant of your school's vision and mission and your district mission, and keeping in mind what are the needs of the students and how can we ensure that student learning is taking place and that we're closing gaps, ensuring that we are meeting the expected goals. I also have to remind myself in conclusion that in order to do what I would like to do, and that is lead the teacher to be laser focused on one goal without overwhelming them with all of the targets that I identify. I do have district trainings for instructional coaches and district leaders that focus on coaching conversations, T-test process, and the language of refinement and reinforcement. So utilizing those tools to help guide me through this process to ensure that I am meeting the expectations of a principal as an instructional leader.